Well, hello, and welcome to this class on postpartum depression and other mood disorders related to pregnancy and birth. My name is Valerie Coleman, and I'm one of the home visitors with the New Parent Support Program on Fort Bragg. It is my great pleasure to be with you this afternoon or today, whatever time it is, wherever you are, just to share with you some information about an important period in your life and the important event that is getting ready to happen to you. I realize that some of you may be now pregnant and some of you maybe actually already have had your baby. But in either case, we're so glad that you're able to join with us today to discuss this information. Before we get started, I'd like to tell you a little bit about the New Parent Support Program. You may have heard of it. It is a free program offered here on Fort Bragg for military families and their dependents who have children in the home under age 36 months. Those families could actually be pregnant right at this time and preparing to have their baby, or they could have already had their baby and just, getting ready to face all the challenges related to having a newborn or toddler in the home. Our program is focused at providing education and support to those families to assist them to get questions answered about child and infant development, to prepare for sometimes challenging situations like toilet training and discipline, to make sure they're connected to the informational resources that are available here on Fort Bragg and know how to access it. And also, we'd like to just normalize this experience called parenting to help you know that many have gone through it, and we just want to be there with you to support you in any way that we can. We currently offer visits. You can call our office. There will be information added where you'll be able to contact us at 910-396-7951, and someone will be there to schedule a home visit for you or put you in contact with the home visitor who will follow up with you. So we hope to be able to answer more questions in this class today. The other thing that we're aware of that military families do face lots of challenges related to deployments, being away from their extended family, also maybe just moving to a new area, not familiar with all the resources there. This is our job to help you navigate through those systems. And we invite you and we encourage you to give us a call and to let us become part of your support system to help you during this time. So today, as I said, we're going to be discussing a very important topic for families who are expecting a baby or have just had a baby, postpartum depression. When we think about postpartum depression, that's the title that most people are accustomed with when they hear that, postpartum depression, but they're not aware that that is just part of a system of other mood disorders called perinatal mood disorders. And those are changes in mood that are happening to a mother around birth. So it could be during the time that they are pregnant, it could be just after birth, it could be happening within up to the first year after they have had their baby. Perinatal mood disorders are characterized by mood and anxiety symptoms that occur during pregnancy or, as I said, up to 1 year postpartum. Today, to better understand these different changes that can happen, we're going to be characterizing these symptoms and mood disorders in 3 different important categories. The first one we'll talk about is called the baby blues. Any of y'all ever heard of that, the baby blues? While having a baby is a very exciting time, for some people it's a very anxious time, a time that they are concerned about what will happen in the future. They're concerned about how they're going to be able to take care of the baby. They're concerned about will there be somewhere there to support them. So for some people, they're very excited, they're out buying things for the baby, they're getting ready, they're so excited. But for some people during that time, they're getting more and more anxious and more afraid. Doing the baby blues, this usually occurs right after you have the baby. It'll come on maybe within 2 to 3 days, and usually it will go away within about 2 weeks. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what are the symptoms and things you might be feeling during that time. About 80% of postpartum mothers will have symptoms of the baby blues. As I said, it refers to a short period that's filled with bouts of sadness, anxiety, stress, and mood swings. So that means about 4 out of 5 new moms report experiencing these symptoms. So you shouldn't be super alarmed, but maybe be more and more happy if you're not having any of those symptoms. If you are, it would be kind of pretty normal. What I tell my mom sometimes is it kind of feels like, when you have the baby, or you have a baby and you're excited that everybody's going to see your baby, or friends are coming over, or you want to do things with the baby, but instead you feel kind of like, no, I'll let my husband do those things with the baby, or no, I really don't want to get up and feed the baby right now, or do things with the baby. You get a little more removed from care for the baby, and you could have more symptoms that we'll discuss in a minute, but you just feel a little different, maybe not as excited as you'd like to do. You might be crying a lot or feel really anxious and jittery. What we hope, again, is that those symptoms will kind of dissipate within about 2 weeks. And if they do not, if they persist and we continue to see those symptoms happen and maybe even worsen, you may then be experiencing what we call postpartum depression. That's the term that most people are accustomed to. Postpartum depression is a moderate to severe depression in a woman that has given birth. It may occur soon after birth or up to 1 year after birth. Most of the time, it occurs within the first 3 months after birth. According to the Postpartum Support International, postpartum depression occurs in 1 out of 7 mothers. That's quite a bit, when you think about the statistics. And then 1 out of every 10 fathers. So fathers also can be affected by postpartum depression, particularly if they're trying to assist a mother who is going through this, and maybe that mother has been very instrumental, very active in caring for things around the house, doing things, and now she's not really feeling like doing that. And fathers may feel more of the pressure to perform and take care of mom and the baby. So we don't want to leave fathers out. We want them to be aware that they could also be experiencing some of these symptoms. Postpartum depression isn't a character flaw or weakness. It's not something that you should think something is severely wrong with me because of who I am, or like that. It's really something that happens to women around pregnancy. Pregnancy and birth can be thought of as causing the onset of this type mood disorder. So if those symptoms continue to persist, or they change in the nature of their symptoms, the person could be experiencing something called postpartum psychosis. In very rare cases, a newborn can bring on a serious mental disorder. So this is actually a mental disorder called a postpartum psychosis. And it's really meaning that mother has kind of lost touch with reality. And so in this case, the mother may be having some delusions, meaning that she's kind of seeing things or hearing voices or hallucinations. She's seeing things that are not there. She may be experiencing some extreme paranoia, afraid that something is going to happen to the baby or someone is going to take the baby, not allowing people, including the father, to be alone with the baby for fear that something very, very serious will happen. And these situations are not based in reality. It's just an onset of what the mother is feeling. It doesn't mean the father is trying to do anything. Doesn't mean anything, no one's trying to hurt the baby, but this is the mother's perception, and it's very kind of hard to talk her out of it. You probably already know or will experience that mothers tend to be pretty protective of their children. Sometimes we feel like we're the only ones that know how to take care of our babies, and we feel totally responsible for what happens to them, because after all, we carried them, we gave them birth. But this is a little different. This kind of goes over the line. And we've seen even on the news how some mothers have even been known to be suicidal and even cause serious harm to their children. So we do want to make sure that mothers know that this is a very serious condition. What fathers also can do is be aware and be involved with mom to kind of watch how mom is interacting with the baby, how things are going with mom, offer support, make sure to kind of recognize when things are not going in the way that you would expect for them to go, or mom is not really connecting with the baby. There's some serious changes, maybe even if you have other children, in caring for those other children. Pretty much you kind of know, what I tell people is that, like when I had a baby, I came home and took care of my baby, and in about a day or two, there were other things I needed to do that I normally did. Like I needed to wash some clothes. I needed to fix dinner for my family, or at least be concerned about what they're going to eat. I needed to go to the commissary. And I was interested in doing those things, and that was what my husband would expect. But if all of a sudden I didn't want to do any of those things, and I showed no interest in that, including in touching, doing anything with the baby, the family, or him, and it really wasn't, a short term, it was a kind of long-term period, that's kind of what we're talking about. So we definitely want you to be on the lookout for any of those kind of changes. So some mothers ask, am I at risk for postpartum depression? Like, how can I tell if that's something that I will get? Well, we don't really know what causes postpartum depression. Some have thought it's related to some hormonal changes, related to what's going on during pregnancy. Some mothers have had a very traumatic birth, and that kind of is the onset of things. But we also know there's some non-hormonal things that could be going on too. Right now, we already see that we're going through a national pandemic, which kind of changes the nature of a lot of things that are happening in our world. Moms could be concerned about what will the future mean for their family and for their new child. So that kind of puts another little notch on the worry hat. But it could be a number of things. You may be at a higher risk for postpartum depression if you are under age 20. Maybe just because you haven't developed a whole lot of life skills yet doesn't mean you won't be a great mom. It just means some of the things that we need to go in life, you just hadn't quite been alive long enough to learn them. You may need additional support. You may be at higher risk if you use alcohol, or if you smoke or take illegal substances. What about if you didn't plan the pregnancy, or you have even mixed feelings about having the baby during this time? You may have already been diagnosed with depression, bipolar disorder, anxiety with this pregnancy or with a past pregnancy. You may have, as I said, had a stressful event during the pregnancy. Some mothers are experiencing some medical problems related to the pregnancy, or things that are happening that could threaten the pregnancy. You may have had a personal illness yourself, or a family member with an illness. You may have had a poor relationship with your significant other or family member that causes additional stress for you. And you may have even had a family history of depressive mood disorders or other mental health disorders. And of course, it would be a problem if you had limited support from your family and friends. Again, usually this is a really happy time. People are having baby showers. They are calling you up, seeing how you're feeling. They're able even to visit you. Now, some of that is a little different. Some moms are feeling differently, even about not being able to go out shopping for the baby as they would, not being able to go to the medical appointments. Maybe only mom can go in now and things like that. So those definitely affect, putting you in a position that the postpartum depression could be kind of more, right there for you. Doesn't mean it has to happen. It just means it could happen, okay? So now let's talk about some signs and symptoms. So how will I know if I'm experiencing postpartum depression or the baby blues? What are those symptoms that I would feel that would let me know? Well, they include feeling sad, feeling hopeless, empty, and overwhelmed. Remember, this is the time that a lot of people feel super, super happy, so happy about having the baby. Most of the moms that have postpartum depression pretty generally talk about knowing that they should feel happy, but they don't. And they can't really make themselves being happy. And they listen to people saying, you should be so happy. You should just be over the moon. And they worry that something is wrong with me because I don't feel that way. I'm very, very sad, overwhelmed. They could be crying more than usual. In the beginning, during the baby blues, you may be crying because you're just so happy. You can't believe this wonderful thing has happened to you. But again, in about 2 weeks, we should see some of that dissipating and you coming to the reality, yep, you really had a baby, a whole baby really came out of you, and now this is the baby that's crying that you got to take care of. But if you're crying more than usual, then they say also for no apparent reason, you don't really have a reason to cry. You just maybe sitting up, having dinner and start crying. Worrying or being overly anxious. Again, this is characterized by people really worrying about the baby, really worrying about, is the baby sleeping okay? You've learned a lot about safe sleep. You learned a lot about, things that could be risky for the baby, and now you're overly concerned about, you got to check for the baby every 3 seconds to make sure they're still breathing. You got to, those are some things that mothers do, but eventually, we have those monitors, we have different things that assist us. That still means that we need to put our eyes on the baby on a regular basis, but we have some things that say, oh, baby's doing okay, I can get some sleep. Trouble concentrating and remembering details and difficulty making decisions. Experiencing anger or rage, losing interest in activities or previously enjoyed activities. This again goes back to doing things that you used to do, okay? Whatever you used to do for fun. And I encourage moms to make sure you're taking care of yourself and doing something that you enjoy, because taking care of a baby is an overwhelming experience, particularly if you're doing it by yourself. So you gotta really plan in. It's not accidental. You have to plan in times for yourself. I usually ask moms, what have you done today that did not involve the baby, your house, or your husband, or your children? And some moms really struggle to think about something. So you have to really plan that in, and dads can help. They can say, I can take care of the baby. And moms have to believe that daddy can take care of the baby because they are the other parent. So you could also be suffering from just physical aches and pains and headaches, things that you're constantly complaining about. Those could be some symptoms. Withdrawing from family and friends, meaning that you don't want to go where you used to go, you don't want them to visit you, you don't really want to take their calls, they're coming over to try to help and you're like, oh, never mind. I encourage people to, when people ask you what they can do to help during the time you have a baby, tell them, you can bring me a dinner from Cheddar's. You can come over and wash some clothes for me. You can take my kids out, get some ice cream, bring them back. Allow people to help you. It really goes a long way in allowing people to do what they can do that will really help you as well. We also see symptoms as when mothers are having problems bonding with the baby. That means they really don't want to hold the baby, or they feel that the baby is, there's not liking them, and they don't particularly connect with the baby. They don't really feel those motherly, gushy-like feelings with the baby when they're holding the baby, or even the desire to hold the baby. And other symptoms, persistently doubting your ability to care for the baby, okay? You are able to take care of your baby, let me tell you. We're here to support you and help you. You're learning the things that you need to know to be able to care, for the baby, be able to prepare for what life will be like with the baby. And our job is to assure you that you can do that and offer you support along the way. And more seriously, if you have any symptom of thinking of harming yourself or the baby, this is a very serious situation. As I mentioned before, moms do a report sometimes thinking that, just having those kind of feelings will go through their head and thinking about it. That's something that you really want to stay on top of and tell somebody about, okay? So what can I do if I start to have these symptoms and I feel like something may be wrong? What should I do? So if you're experiencing any of these symptoms that we've mentioned, or you're just not feeling like yourself, or you think you may have something serious going on, we highly encourage you to contact your doctor. That could be your primary care physician, that could be your OB in your OB clinic, where you go to have your follow-up postpartum appointment. You could also make contact with the WIS, the Womack Health Services Center, which is over there beside Womack. They do have opportunity for you to walk in, tell somebody how you're feeling, and that would be in the event that you just feel not able to contact your doctor or contact someone else to tell them how you're feeling. We encourage you, you already know what the baby blues are. Some of these symptoms, maybe not all of them, but some of them in a little more diluted form. But after 2 weeks, you start to see them dissipate. But if you do not see them dissipate after about 2 weeks and you still see them going on or possibly getting worse, that's what we encourage you to do. Call your doctor, call your OB clinic, call the WISC, the Womack Health Services Center. When you talk with your doctor, he will ask you about your thoughts and feelings and what has happened recently. There are a lot of partners that we have across the base that will be doing a lot of screening. So we have a screening form that we do as part of our visits. They will also, when you take the baby back for your well baby checks, they'll screen you. It's called the Edinburgh Postpartum Depression Scale. And it asks you how you felt in the last 7 days. And I think everyone on post in a medical capacity that works with pregnant women or women who just delivered are committed to making sure we screen women, and we have an opportunity to offer you those services if you would need those, okay? What I would like to remind you to do as I get ready to close is ask you to remember to ask for help. If you are feeling symptoms or you just have questions about what you're feeling, you have concerns, please ask for help and information to support your concerns. Call a friend or family member, even if you can only just reach them by phone. It's really important just to talk to people about how you're feeling, reach out for help. You can call your primary care physician. You can even walk in over at the WISC. Define priorities for yourself, your health and your baby and family, rather than listening to others' opinions. Sometimes mothers are so anxious with listening to how other people have cared for their children, what other people are doing. It may not relate to you and your family and what your decisions have been. So make sure to set boundaries and realize it's really okay for you and your family to decide what's best for your baby. You don't have to do it just like the person next to you or the person you heard or even someone in your family. Develop a support team for yourself and your family. So that could be, again, some neighbors or friends that you know that are particularly supportive. It could be family members that you have already told you'll call if you need help. It could be a home visitor like me or many of my coworkers who you can call for help when you need help. Take time for yourself. Remember, schedule time in to get a break, to remember that you're a mom. Yes, you're a mom, but you're still so many other things. You're a wife, you're a friend, you're a daughter, and you have to devote some time to each of those things. Talk to other families who might come through this. So again, going to the postpartum depression group is a great way to connect with other families who've experienced this, or just other moms. There are other mom activities and groups on base where you can go and spend time with other moms. Spend time with your baby to develop your own confidence. So take time and just hold your baby, be thankful for how your baby is, been born to you. And remember, no one else could be this baby's mom but you. You're the only one that this baby came to you, and you are a great mother already because you're learning about how to take care of your baby, how to take care of yourself, and how to take care of your family. Remember, New Parent Support is here to support you in any way that we can by offering you information and the visits. Please feel free to call us if we can be helpful in any way. We are always here to just support and help you. Have a great day.